At that time, Jesus entered the synagogue, and a man was there with a withered hand. And they watched Jesus to see whether he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. And he said to the man with the withered hand, "Come here." And he said to them, "Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill?" But they were silent. And he looked round at them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored. The Pharisees went out and immediately held counsel with the Herodians against him, how to destroy him. The Gospel of the Lord. My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, why me, O Lord? Why did this happen at this time, in this place, and to me? Isn't this a question that we often ask of ourselves when some misfortune happens? And perhaps we are asking that question even in the midst of this pandemic. Why, Lord, are you allowing this to continue for so long? Why are you infecting or allowing people to be infected all over the world and bringing everything to a halt? Perhaps this pandemic for us in this time for humanity is something like a David versus Goliath battle. Let's reflect on that battle today, which we heard in the first reading. Here is this young lad, David, who is maybe from one perspective being foolhardy, going into this battle against the Philistines, and particularly Goliath, who was their champion and a giant of a man at that. The Israelites by this time had already suffered defeat several times before, and they were wondering what to do. That's when David shows up to Saul and offers to go into the battle. Is he being foolhardy and rash? No, David had entered into this battle not without experience. Being a shepherd boy, he had also faced wild animals, and he had seen the hand of the Lord guiding him in those past experiences. This is what gave him the confidence to go into the battle with just his slingshot. What we learn from David and Goliath is that, God can do great things in our lives when we go with trust in Him. But we can ask the question, just as we do about the pandemic, in David's place. Why did God allow Israel to face so much defeat? Why did God allow the Philistine to mock God's name? He could have taken or struck him down with lightning on the spot. Why does God allow Goliaths to come into our lives? Well, perhaps the Lord allows Goliaths to come into our lives so that He can bring the David out of us. When we face a crisis, when we face a difficulty, when we face a sickness, perhaps the Lord has allowed it because He wants to bring the best out of us. Why did the Father allow Jesus, the Son incarnate, to experience the opposition of the Pharisees and the scribes? Because it was in those moments of conflict between Jesus and His enemies that the best of Jesus came out. It shone forth, as we saw in today's gospel passage. It is this confrontation between the Pharisees and Jesus that the Father opens the way for Jesus to heal this man with a withered hand. It is the setting in which God intervenes. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, if you are suffering with the sickness right now, do not be afraid. Or you have any other crisis or difficulty, do not be afraid. Like David, go into your battles, saying to your battles, "You may come to me with all this sickness and all this pain and all this anxiety, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts. Just say this 5-worded prayer whenever you face a crisis. Jesus, I trust in you. Whenever we face a crisis, don't ask, why me, Lord? But say, Jesus, I trust in you. Amen.